Tell me, what is needed today for negotiations on Ukraine to really, truly begin? Can it all start that fast? What do you think?
To be honest, we need the Russians to agree. It is difficult for them to agree now due to the fact that their bread is easier at the front. Therefore, they have big trumps, as Trump said, in their hands. Now, if they save these trumps, they will get them, they will start winning in this card game, then we will agree. Vladimir Putin's Alexander to the Kursk region. He was there the day before. How do you assess the success of the Russian army in general? Well done. What do you think? The commander-in-chief just drives like that. If you have arrived, tomorrow it is necessary to completely liberate the entire territory. Tomorrow, figuratively speaking. Well, a few days, and she will be released, as far as I understand. Alexander Yuryevich, about the hazel let me ask. There is no hazel tree yet, we are working. But when I have plunged into this problem, Vladimir Vladimirovich will immerse me. It turned out that in addition to the rocket, it all needs to be manufactured, and we are doing it Belarus. So we are working on it. Several installations, launchers, which are designed for hazel. Today, we are actually finishing the construction of the factory. Well, the rocket will be needed from the older brother.
And what will happen today at the negotiations with Vadim?
Everything will be fine.
What will you discuss?
That's it. We've been putting it off, putting it off. You can see that we haven't met for a couple of months or 3 months. Therefore, we all accumulated questions, agreed that we would discuss today. I think that there are no such global issues in relations with us in Russia and in Belarus with Russia. They discussed that more than once. We will do a lot in this direction, on the common markets for gas, oil, and some energy. Have made a decision. There are a few of these issues. Import substitution is still there, well known. As for the foreign policy agenda, many issues have accumulated, both global and regional. But we have nothing to go into global issues. I think the Russians will sort it out for us and for themselves on a global level. But regional issues, well, like the Ukrainian problem with the West of Europe relationship. These issues exist and we need to discuss once again, taking into account recent events, our intentions with the Russian Federation, the synchronization of our actions. It will be today. Therefore, we will discuss all the issues. We have enough time today and tomorrow to discuss all the problems with Vladimir Vladimirovich. And Flynn's claim, 800 billion euros, about Macron's nuclear umbrella, what do you think? Here's Europe, it's kind of weird really. Listen, they wouldn't lose this umbrella over France. And not that they will hold this umbrella over the whole of Europe. Well, that's the first thing. And secondly, let them raise their umbrella at least over Germany. Or, well, figuratively speaking, it will share nuclear weapons with Germany, its eternal historical enemy. Well, they seem to have reconciled now. Who knows? They have a huge number of claims against each other. The Poles and the Germans, you know, have East Prussia there, and so on and so forth. So listen, there are a lot of contradictions there. And let them also agree on 800 billion, and think about where they will get these 800 billion. There is another way, an absolutely open, honest, peaceful way. And this is what the conflict in Ukraine is pushing for. Come on, we've had enough. Let's live together and build a normal policy. Well, and then, you see, the most important thing is that the peoples there have risen. They are used to living well, including at the expense of us, especially Russia. Cheap resources and so on. Due to this, the profit is good. Everyone is used to living well. And here it is not. Therefore, Ursula, she probably has never seen anything other than a modern means of destruction, missiles and so on. I haven't seen a normal gun. He is already thinking globally in terms of armaments and the creation of a European army. Well, Donald, you see what position he took. And I want to say, what will give them to do it? Is the temporary truce offered by the Americans Ukrainians a trick? No, they won't catch us anymore, and even more so Russia. All the time the same tricks to tricks. Then they cheated, then what? What? Well, it's time for us to think with our heads. I think that. Well, that's what you know, well, including me. Today and tomorrow, Vladimir Vladimirovich will talk with representatives, envoys of Trump on this topic. And there are a lot of questions, besides the 30-day truce. And it is necessary to weigh this as a whole package and make an appropriate decision. No, it's not a trick. It won't be a trick. It won't, because we know what we need. They know what we want. Therefore, it will not be a trick. And then, so that this is not a trick, and it is necessary, on the other hand, to be furnished normally. And you, if this is a truce, then everything is frozen, and there is no movement. But most likely, Ukrainians will not agree to this.
But it's so weird. And most importantly, on what terms did you suddenly agree?
That's all I'm saying. You understand? I've been thinking about it. 30 days of truce. What do Ukrainians and Americans demand? Ukrainians have no choice. The Americans said 30 days. By the way, I can say for sure that the Americans have no plan for the conflict in Ukraine. Absolutely not. What are they doing? Well, maybe the common features are to stop the war there, etc. What are they doing now? They're probing the ground. We will talk about this today. Mr. Putin will tell me about what was said in Saudi Arabia, and so on. They're probing the ground. And what do these people want? What are these? Click on these, you can click. You can't click on these. Click on Russia. We have been discussing this problem for a long time, that Donald will come and knock everything with his fist. Or sanctions will be taken away. So many sanctions have already been imposed against us that there is nowhere else to impose them. Therefore, they clicked on Ukraine, and that there was nowhere to go. Agreed. 30 days, so 30 days. They say they agree to 30 days. Russians, if these 30 days, but they still. The economy will work, the military-industrial complex will work. They will produce weapons, and so on. Well, okay, we won't take you to the front. We store it all in the warehouse. And there should be no movement in Ukraine, because they are transferring weapons from abroad. As soon as they noticed all the violations. Therefore, I do not think that Ukrainians will agree with this yet. They think that, well, we will refuse, the Russians will refuse it. And they will have this Trump card that Trump talked about. That is, there are still so many fences and junk that we don't need to hurry. I just advise you not to go for Donald's tricks, because he is your man in this regard. He is a media man, he can make one statement in the morning, the second in the evening. And it's easy to mislead us, you. Therefore, my advice to you is only facts. Just the facts. And the facts today are that tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, the Kursk region will be liberated altogether.
We are very hopeful.
No, so it's already clear that your commander-in-chief went there. Therefore, yes, they will be released in Pokrovsk, in fact, already on the outskirts. The situation is very bad for Ukrainians at the front. Therefore, it is necessary to move here somehow. I won't say that everything is fine here. We are most stressed by the economy. You see it perfectly, and you know it. But we will deal with the economy. We have everything to live normally. We will not live richly at this time, but we will live normally. There's nothing there. And Europe will not help them. Will you have contacts with the Americans? Not in Moscow yet. Us. No, I'm not going to contact them. Although, I emphasize once again, we have always maintained contacts with them on a certain department. And in this case, what are we going to meet? It doesn't make any sense to us. We are agreeing on a position now. Well, don't push him already, they're asking, let him ask. Therefore, don't worry. We are a little bit better than it was once. I mean, we and the Russians. Thank you very much.